Welcome to the heart of it. We are recording on Gadigal land. Hi, sweetheart.
Hello.
Are you ready for this?
I am very ready for this,
I am so
actually.
excited. These gentlemen are in the room with us, which is fantastic. Jens Rada, also known as Skank Sinatra, and their partner Lachie, also known as, I love this name, Iva Rosebud. Iva Rosebud, a tradie by day, a drag queen by night, whose love story began during one of Melbourne's many lockdowns.
Indeed. So originally connecting over Zoom with the intention of collaborating artistically, the two quickly discovered a deeper spark. Both trained in musical theatre, live singing, drag artists, and a love for jazz and cabaret, Jens and Lachie found themselves falling into something that was equal parts creative partnership and unexpected romance.
I'm getting excited.
I know.
Since then, their love has taken them around the world. They've co-created and performed multiple shows together, including Madame Martha's Parisian Cabaret, winner of the Best Cabaret in Melbourne's Fringe in 2024.
That is huge.
Yep.
That is huge.
And the Cabaret Hour, winner of Best Variety Show at the Adelaide Fringe this
Just
year.
as huge.
Welcome, Jens and Lachie. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Yeah. Are you still in the glow of all these winning awards?
Honestly, it's been a whirlwind and I feel like we haven't even stopped. It's just been go, go, go. But, you know, that hustle never stops until it does. And we're trying to plan a holiday, which has been in the making for, I don't know, a year. But
Yeah.
we never find a way to squeeze it in.
Would that be an overseas holiday or a local one?
Well, we're going to Edinburgh Fringe.
Oh, wow.
So we're trying to make sure that we have at least a week where we have no gigs planned.
Yeah.
There's one trying to creep in,
Yeah.
in the UK. We want to drive up from London to Edinburgh over a week. But then, something has popped up. We're like, no. Let's just enjoy the hills of, the UK and
It's
just
gorgeous.
romance.
yeah.
It is gorgeous.
Really?
We just went. Well, I'd say we just went to Scotland. We talk about our Scottish trip.
Yeah, because like it was yesterday. It was so
it was the
beautiful.
best.
Where
And
did you go?
Edinburgh is so fab.
Yeah.
We took a train from London to Edinburgh, and then we kind of did a circuit. We went up to Isle of Skye. We went to Loch Ness. Where else did? And then we went up and over.
the top to Inverness and
And back down around
the coast, around St Andrews, and.
But you
things like
must
that.
make time to
Yeah.
travel
Yeah.
around.
Yeah,
there.
I feel like I
It's-
need a photo with the Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Good luck with
Ness.
that.
The Lachie
That is
Nest.
true.
The locks are there. I mean,
The locks are there.
Loch Lomond, Loch Ness.
Yes.
But
And there's
Isle
a-
of Skye, man.
Yeah, go if you can get to
guys.
Isle of Skye. There's a river there called River Dee, and our son's name is River, and we often call him River Dee because he's River Daddo, and that was it's the small
so
things.
nice.
It's the
It is
little
But
things.
Ali also, she was the one that curated the journey. So we started off in sort of nice Airbnbs, and then we ended up in the penultimate night of the actual road trip. We were in a gatehouse. Was 16th century gatehouse over a river, staying in there that just felt really freaking spooky.
It was
Wow.
winter,
But it was-
like
Oh,
snow was
yeah.
falling.
Yeah, it's this blue stone gatehouse that was built over this river. And then last night we were in a 18th century castle.
Yeah, that
That
was
this-
getting renovated.
This guy was renovating it on his own.
on his own.
Oh, my God.
Does Ali do all the planning?
I do.
Pretty much for those. Yeah. I leave it because she's so good at it. No,
And I do love it. I do
Yeah.
love the research. As long as I've got time to do it, I really love it.
Yes.
There's always one in
There's
the
always
relationship
one.
that,
Jens loves the research.
Yeah.
How is that in yours?
Exactly. I'm the alley. You know,
Okay.
I do the planning and everything. And,
And I'm the one hounding, like, have you booked the flights?
yeah. And
Jens books, I turn up.
You'll say, I want to go somewhere like this, like this, like this. And then I'll make an itinerary and send it through for approval.
Nice. Well, take us back
Yeah,
to that Zoom call. Was it all sort of business at first, or was there immediate like, ooh, this guy?
Well, got to correct that. Actually, there was no Zoom call.
There was
It
no
was an
Zoom.
Instagram message.
Oh,
And that led to, what are you doing tomorrow?
yep.
Hang on, who's slipped into whose
Me,
DMs?
my best friend, they met Jens at an audition and said, you have to meet this guy. He's music theatre background now doing drag. And I think you would work well together. And I had a couple of wines with my housemates and was feeling confident. So I messaged Jens from my drag account, being like,
cool.
hey, queen, slay, girl.
Diva work.
Diva work. I think we would work well together. What are you doing? And Jens replied straight away.
I had nothing. I was sitting on the couch for 6 weeks.
So it was
at this
lockdown.
point, lockdown
Yeah,
season.
sure.
Right.
But I was, because I work as a landscaper, I still had permission to leave
Yeah.
and like attend work because that was an essential service apparently.
Those Brighton houses needed their hedges
Brighton.
trimmed.
They needed their bushes trimmed. Yeah.
Did many wealthy family homes.
Am I just finally connecting the fact that you're a landscaper and your name is Iva Rosebud to hello?
Ding, ding, ding. You hit the buffalo.
Hello, got it. That's so cool. So the DM slid, and then did you get on a Zoom call with each other?
No, there was no Zoom. So I messaged Jens and I said, would love to work. Apparently we would work well together.
Yeah.
And he replied straight away. And he was like, well, when do you want to possibly meet up? And I said, well, how about tomorrow? We can meet for a wine and a walk.
At 10 a.m.
No, it was
Well, it was
11 a.m.
lockdown.
I was like, 10 a.m.
It's 5 o'clock
Fine.
somewhere
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
world.
Because,
exactly.
everyone in Melbourne had given up by that point and we were all
Right.
having bubbles in
Starting
our
early.
keep cups.
Yeah.
And the real test was I said, you get the food and I'll get the wine because I'm a bit of a foodie. I got like a nice drop and he bought the pastries and he bought Coles pastries, which that was
I'm sorry.
No.
Coles makes beautiful, beautiful sourdough.
questionable.
Beautiful pastries.
Well, he did buy a Laurent baguette and I was like,
Yeah.
well, at least he bought a sourdough baguette.
Always not lost.
Always
Yeah.
not lost. And we met in Footscray Botanical Gardens.
It's beautiful.
Because and you left your 5-kilometer radius.
It was on the cusp.
I was on the cusp.
Okay.
And by this point, everyone was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
5.8.
I was like,
or something.
wow.
I felt very, very naughty because I had been
Did
following
that
everything.
raise the anticipation and the
think so.
excitement?
It created some fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
breaking some laws,
Yeah,
breaking
exactly.
some hearts,
And
you know.
now that things are normal, I'm like, wait, do I even feel anything?
Ah!
I'm kidding, I do. It's a test.
The test.
It's a test. Yeah, no.
And we kind of, we hit it off. We were listening to jazz music and we realized we had a lot in common. And then somehow business turned to pleasure.
Yeah.
And what was that? How long was that time frame where the business did turn into pleasure?
I think it was
45
a
minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, so who caught the feels first?
Well,
No,
I don't know if it was the mimosas kicking in, but we
we
went.
spent a few hours talking about cabaret and music and really like bonding over how much in common we had in
Yeah.
our taste, in art in particular.
Right.
And then one of them was Elaine Stritch's At Liberty. It's a cabaret show that she's done, and it's filmed and recorded, and Lockie's listened and watched it a million times. And I had heard snippets from it. He's like, we should go watch it. Oh my God, it's fabulous. It's camp. We need to go watch it. Why don't we go watch it right now?
To get ideas for our collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, I can't go to your house. Like, that's against the rules. I did that.
But we were in the back garden. In the back
back
garden.
garden. We
We didn't
remained
enter the
outside.
house. We were still outside.
Yeah.
And then, I went into the kitchen to get a cup of tea, and then I came back and leant over and did the
me.
Spider-Man kiss.
Did you?
Hang on, what's a Spider-Man kiss? Oh,
You know what he's
it's
like,
off.
yeah.
That way.
Got it.
Yes.
I like Spider-Man kiss.
Yeah, it wasn't as
yeah.
it didn't really quite work.
I thought it was
So they
ridiculous.
must have rehearsed quite a lot in the movie.
I've just met you and you kiss me without even sussing if that was the vibe. Luckily for him, it was the vibe. But still, I thought it was very forward.
And we've been inseparable ever since.
Yeah.
And the first show you created was which one?
Oh,
I actually think we started just co-hosting some things
Okay.
first. Like there's this venue in Melbourne called the Speakeasy Theatre. It's a vaudeville kind of variety.
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's in the city on
on
Flinders Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Right on.
It is like a speakeasy. You can't tell from the outside. It
Yeah.
looks very normal.
feels very like old school vaudevillian,
Yeah.
like
Love
very
that.
kitsch. It's above a kebab shop,
Very
Right
charming.
on. It's a good snack afterwards.
Yeah, literally.
yeah.
Get the kebab all over your shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I had to do my makeup in there the other day because the person opening the theatre was running late. I had to get into my drag makeup, which gives a good 2 hours. And she was like, "I'm going to be 45 minutes late." I was like, "I have to start my makeup," and I've been dropped off with my Uber. I've got my makeup, so I went into the kebab shop and said, "Can I do makeup here? I'm sorry." And she said, "Okay." So for 45 minutes, I was sitting there doing everything and made a good friend with the lady.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Does it really take that long? Does it take
Yeah.
2 hours?
Yeah.
Comfortably 2 hours.
Comfortably.
We can sprint through it in an hour and 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a mo to cover up.
No, I don't cover it up. It's
Oh,
part of
part
it's
of
part
the
of the
thing.
aesthetic, part of the look.
Yeah.
I actually remember that from
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
photograph.
yeah.
That's right.
Androgyny.
Great.
Can you just, both of you, can you just take us back to when you were younger? Like, where did the love of drag come from? Why did you decide to do it? And I mean, both of you are very well trained, actually. Was that something that from little ones that you knew you wanted to be in the theatre some way or another?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, I grew up watching my nan live with us, and I always grew up watching the old-fashioned musicals like Hello
Yes.
Dolly, Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just like the budget on those films and the escapism, it was always a love, and the music. I fell in love with the music and the style. Never thought I'd ever pursue that. And then Mum said that there was a performing arts high school, and then my friends said that there was performing arts universities. I never really thought that that's something that I could actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just like evolved. I just went along for the journey. Drag, never thought I'd ever do drag until I graduated from VCA, and I was, attending the club scene, and I was watching incredible performance art in Melbourne and drag queens doing incredible things. And I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. And then through a connection with a friend, started performing in the Melbourne club scene. Creating, and I think I used drag as a vessel to portray some of the messages or political ideas that I wanted, and now it's kind of this persona, this alter ego
Yeah.
that comes.
Is that a liberating feeling, having that persona that you can
It is
maybe say things that you wouldn't normally say? Is that how it works? Or
yeah, and
what?
also drag in itself is political as well. So,
Yeah.
but it is liberating, and to create art that I get to creating your own art
Yeah.
and sharing that.
Yours is also, it's unique and it's a very special way, like the work that you do, the performances you create. I have never seen drag performances like that, without going into too much detail.
Yeah.
This particular act she does called La Vie en Rose, the classic French
Yep.
song.
Yeah.
Starts as a beautiful, beautiful Glamazonian woman with long pink hair, a big red boa and gorgeous gown. And then as the song goes along, one piece of clothing gets thrown, another piece of clothing gets thrown, until the very end she's in the splits in nothing.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing. But it's all sold and extremely elegant. And so by the end of the show, people are like, what is going on? I've never seen anything like this before. Woman at the top, manhood at the bottom. And it's for a split second. Everyone's confused
Which
and
started
shocked.
in the club scene, like very like not
Punky
budget, like,
underground. Now it's been
like a dressing gown and nothing else.
you've
but-
toured the world with it now on
Really?
huge stages.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Which, the whole point of it was to reveal, kind of make fun of drag. Well, not make fun, but like, underneath all the makeup and wigs, there is a different person who is
Yeah.
presented on the outside, which is why I keep the mustache as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. Thank you. Who's paying you?
I know. I'll be your publicist.
Yeah.
I shall step aside.
And what about for you, Jens?
Well, when I was a little child in South Africa, I was forced to always sing every time my parents had friends over. They said, "Yeah, sing a song," because they saw this voice in the choir, then the church, and then when we moved to Australia, I joined this kind of music theatre and acting youth school called Bites in Budrum on the Sunshine Coast. And then music theatre was kind of that route that I took because I think that was kind of popular for school kids to study. I also kept doing singing competitions on the side. I would always dress up as a girl as well, even when I was like 10. And then there was this singing competition, search for a Malulabar star. And I put on a wig, I put on a dress, and my parents you have to do it. It's
Wig is a
fabulous.
strong.
Really?
A
Your mum
re-
and dad were like,
Oh my
get the
God.
wig on.
They
do it."
insisted. They were like,
bless.
you got to do this. Because
Yeah.
I had just done this performance for my grandparents' silver anniversary. And they said, you should do the same thing for this competition.
Yeah.
Anyways, I won. And Malulabar was ready for a 10-year or 12-year-old drag queen to sing Strong Enough by Cher. I know. And then the music theatre took a break and then came back to drag after I studied and kind of honed the craft of performing, in all its forms, acting, dancing, singing, and now putting it all together in what I think is such a beautiful art form, drag
Yeah.
and cabaret.
Are both of your families really supportive of the drag world.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
that's
so
good.
lucky.
We're very lucky.
I
So
love
lucky.
that.
Yeah.
Your brother, you mentioned before we came or we started pressing, before we press record, you've got brothers.
3 brothers.
Yeah.
I'm the second of the 4. Yeah.
And are they supportive too?
They're so supportive. They think it's so cool. And
Oh,
I mean,
I love
especially
that.
with the nude work that I've done, they just think it's hilarious.
So
Yeah.
cute.
When they come, they're always like, ah!
They're like, oh, Lachie,
But
why
then
are you
they
going
see
to
me
take your
after
pants
yeah.
off?
They're like, bro, that was really cool. I'm like, thanks, darling.
So great. But I'm sure growing up with 4 boys, you were probably naked a lot, weren't you? Most boys seem to run around
Well, yeah,
naked
because we
all
grew up
the
in the
time.
country as well.
Yeah.
And it was free. We were just running around.
I mean, that was the most common phrase in our house with our son. It was like, wear your pants. Wear your pants.
Yeah.
Put your pants on.
It was my youngest
Go play
brother,
with
actually.
boys.
I wondered when you were going to
Yeah.
bring River. Yeah, he was classic. I grew up with 4 boys too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Which one
so
are you?
our bathroom. Sorry,
Are you? which
I'm number
boy?
1 boy.
Number
We have an
one.
older sister who was the icebreaker for us. She's the hero of the family.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and but the morning routine in the bathroom was hilarious with 4 boys switching from each station.
Yeah.
It's like you'd have one on the dunny, one cleaning his teeth, one in
Yeah.
the shower, one going, "Hurry up!"
Yeah, literally.
So it was-
Literally.
Yeah, there were no secrets.
Even just like dinner time as well. Jens is always like, why do you always eat like there's
Yeah.
nothing left? I'm like,
Yes.
because I had to fight for my food. Literally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, how do you guys stay connected? You mentioned overseas travel, and are you together, or do you travel alone and do your shows by yourselves? And how do you stay connected when you're apart?
Zoom.
This is where the Zoom comes in.
Yeah.
Well, up until this point, we have been lucky enough that a lot of times we do a lot of shows together. So, like our Madame Arthur's show, we've toured the country together a lot. But then also when we do separate shows, like I tour my Skank Sinatra show, like to Edinburgh this year. Lockie's in a show called Club Cabaret, Bernie Dieter's Club Cabaret. Fabulous, high budget, fantastic circus and variety cabaret show. Also going to Edinburgh. And so typically the festivals, the circuit aligns, so we're always in the same place.
Yeah, right.
We were both in Perth. I did Skank Sinatra, you did Club Cabaret. And so it's good because we can also save on accommodation sometimes. There's
Yeah.
like per diems that align that we can, help each other out. One year, like, I'm on a slightly bigger budget thing, and then Lachie, you stay with me. Then the next year, Lockie's getting paid more, I'll stay with him. So it works out well that typically we're always together, which can also be a curse.
What do you mean?
Sometimes, like when you were in Perth for 5 weeks, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed having 2 weeks to myself
Yeah.
in Melbourne at the home.
The house is really clean when you're away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also nice to miss each other every now and
Yeah.
again.
Absence makes the
I
heart
mean,
grow fonder.
Yeah, I think that's
It's
nice too.
important.
Now, Skank Sinatra, tell us how this name came about.
When I was at WAPA studying music theatre, we have to do like this 10-minute cabaret presentation, write a little, snippet and present it to the class. And I did a Sinatra cabaret, but I had a grand piano in a suit singing about kind of misogyny, but through a, delicious 1950s Sinatra lens. Then
Did you write it? Sorry to interrupt.
I did. It was
Wow.
Sinatra songs, but I would parody them,
Yeah.
Yeah,
change
right.
the lyrics, and set it up that it was such a gorgeous, like, "Come fly with me." It was like "Comply with me," and it was about my wife at home. Just do as I say, and everything will be fine. And then I did it for the Perth Fringe Festival. It did really well. I did it again the second year after I graduated, and then I kind of just wanted to go serious into the, I guess, Hugh Jackman thing. He had came and talked to us when we were at
Yeah.
WAPA, and I was like, I want to be like him. I want to be in musicals and films and, do the serious actor thing. So I tried that. And then I realized, you know what? My heart is just in the cabaret drag world. What am I doing? And then Sinatra was kind of a natural road because I've always loved the music, and I
Yeah.
felt I had unfinished business with this show that I wrote because I was like, I did it in a very like straight coded way before, and I like I need to do it in heels, in a wig, and lashes. And so I had this urge to kind of complete this full circle of the Sinatra show. I rewrote the entire thing. It's completely different, but it came to full fruition in 2023 when I did it at the Butterfly Club in Melbourne, this gorgeous cabaret venue. And now I've been touring for 2.5 years. It's
With
just-
that show?
Yeah, it's done so well.
And are you still creating new things as you go, or adjusting, fine-tuning?
Adjusting and fine-tuning is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I've brought on a friend who helps me like polish some jokes and writing stuff. Andy Ballack, he's a great writer. Brought on some directorial support. My friend Olivia Sherry-Lambers helps direct things and polish. We watch back seasons of old ones. How can we make it better? But it's reached a point now where I feel like, particularly like Adelaide, I've done 2 years now. I've won Best Cabaret twice. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to do a new show next year. Okay. Edinburgh Fringe, I'm just doing my second time this August. Yep. But I'm starting to think, there needs to be another show in the making. I'm trying a new one here at the Qtopia's Pride Fest called Skank Sinatra's Dirty Martini Lineup, which is like a late night lineup, fun show, bit of chaos, bit of fun.
Love a dirty martini.
Oh, you're telling me.
You had me a dirty martini.
Yeah.
Every audience member gets one on arrival.
Oh, how good.
Really?
See, that's great.
Maybe.
No one goes home empty-handed.
Exactly.
You're already giving it out there.
Yes.
Dinner and
Tickets
the
are
show.
$450.
There you go. We have a dear friend. His name is Tom Burlinson. He was the man from Snowy River. I mean, an actor from a little while ago. He was also he did it. Oh, Far Lap. He was the lead actor in Far Lap.
Yeah.
He is
Great movies to revisit or
Yeah.
visit in your case if you haven't seen them.
Well, they're
I
doing
have
it,
fabulous
I think,
movies.
next year or something. So the audition brief has just come around.
for which
one?
Far Lap, the musical.
Oh, yeah, at
Oh,
Hayes. At
musical.
Hayes. It's this year.
Is
It's
that
in-
embargoed?
coming
I don't
next
know.
month.
I bet Tommy will go up for Tommy will go up for Tommy will go up for Tommy Woodcock for sure.
That would be amazing. Well, he is the if you close your eyes and heard Tom sing, he sounds exactly like Frank Sinatra.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. In fact, he did the singing
That's
on
right. on Sinatra the miniseries.
You're
So
kidding.
back in
Yeah.
the 90s,
Oh.
Yeah.
Tina Sinatra, she gave the blessing for the Sinatra miniseries. Philip Kasnoff or something. He played Sinatra. Tommy should have because he kind of had that
Yeah, a little
bit of a look.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
Tom sung for Tina, and she went, "I can't change. I can't hear the difference. You're it."
Wow.
So Tom sung for
Wow.
that.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
He does shows around.
I think
Cabarets
he still rolls
around,
it out. Yeah,
with the
yeah,
band
on
and
the
they-
boats and the cruises and
the
stuff.
zoos
Yeah.
and things. They do those special nights.
Yeah.
Evening
The
with
zoos.
Tom Burlinson.
For the animals.
Yeah. Taronga Zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good on him.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you guys, you clearly get along well. Though there must be times when there's creative differences or things. How do you, we are a relationship party, so how do you deal with conflict when it comes up, when it arises?
Well, in Madame Martha's, it's a trio-based ensemble. So unfortunately, Meg is the mediator, and she has to decide a lot of the creative decisions.
Yep.
The third member of the show. We're
Yeah.
always like, Meg, which one do you think is right?
Yeah.
And she's like,
So when Meg's not there, later back at back
Yeah,
at
yeah.
home,
we call Meg.
Meg's on speed dial.
yeah.
Honestly,
now we
it's-
call her Nutmeg because she's like,
That's great. I'm going to call her that.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bloody challenge because we do have creative, differences in choices and stuff, but we do respect each other's opinion a lot. And I think to actively never dismiss or never shove off an opinion that's said by the other person is something to be very crucial of. I'm always trying to pick up on myself if I seem like, no, that's not right, and I'll move forward because we have this shorthand as a couple. When you're creative in the room, I think you need to treat the other person as if their, creativity
Yeah.
is something to respect the way that you would any other person in a professional
great.
space.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. And forgiveness is important. Communication is important.
Yeah.
Especially creatively, always trying each idea
Yeah.
and giving value to everyone's thought and response.
Exactly. Sometimes if one of us does something and I think, oh no, that's so stupid. All right, let's just try it, and then we can all make a decision afterwards because
Yeah,
you
I
know
love
if
that.
something works.
Yeah.
Once you've tried it, but to dismiss and not try it, I think that
Sometimes it's hard in drag. We always laugh at this.
Oh yeah, because
With the amount of makeup on your face, someone
Serious
will say something
eyebrows.
and you're like, what? But
did she
they'll be
just say
like,
me?
my favorite color is green. You're like, I can't believe she said that.
because it comes across as
It
so
comes across so
intense because of the way the face looks like
Yeah.
a severe woman.
she's got a mask on.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. Yeah. And it's always like, if we're in the car driving somewhere and Jens just says something, I'm like,
everything feels high stakes
Right.
when it's set in a drag face. Yeah.
That would be. I mean, do you ever find yourself in a car in full drag?
Every day.
Always. Every day.
That's great.
Every day.
Let's get some looks from this.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
is it usually positive? Please tell me it is.
Always.
Well, yesterday,
positive,
yeah.
well, you had the
Yeah.
opening of because you're headlining Qtopia Pride Fest,
Oh, yes.
and where were we driving in Darlinghurst or somewhere? We were both in drag, and someone crossed the pedestrian crossing and was like, "Hey, girls!"
we get a lot of that, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's joyous.
so
It always
Right.
brings a smile to people's
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
that's what I think. I don't know. That's the way I see drag anyway.
Yeah.
I see it. It's such a joyous, experience. It's always so full of joy. I mean, we spoke to Hannah Conda, who
Yeah.
is just
Love
we
Hannah
saw,
so
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
When I was in Perth at WAPA, we used to go watch her every week because she was the host of the local, gay club at the Court in
Yeah.
Connections. She's obviously
Right.
moved to Sydney since then, but back then she was the it girl in the drag scene in Perth.
Yeah.
And so she very much also, I guess, was an inspiration to the young people coming up in the drag world.
I love
I saw
that.
you. She was-
Just on a acting school question for this. I mean, a lot of our listeners probably have kids that are wanting to go to acting schools and performance schools. Was it a positive experience for you both?
Well, this is a good one we can talk about because you went to VCA, I went to WAPA.
Yeah, we went to rival
And
schools.
both of you have both of those schools have great reputations.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a great time at WAPA. The cohort I was with we're still like close as anything. We talk every single day. The people I met were amazing. The training was it was music theatre training. It can sometimes be a bit binary in the way like men have to be masculine, women have to be, I think it's changing, but sometimes institutions are slow to catch up with the zeitgeist of the times.
Yeah.
And because Perth is quite far away from, the eastern states, it's got a hive mind of its own, which is great. But at the same time, it was a bit of a shock coming to Melbourne and Sydney where you feel like you're jumping into a pool where the industry that was told to you what it was like is not anything like what it was described.
But you also went to drama school in 1983, whereas when I went to VCA, it was very different.
2016, all right? 14 to 16.
And we always have this little rival too, where I'm like, "Oh, you have a Bachelor of Arts and Music Theatre, but I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts."
Oh,
You wouldn't be able to tell.
You wouldn't be able to
That's
tell.
fine. Just had drop that in. Yeah.
You were in the heart of, Australia's cultural cauldron in Melbourne.
Pretty different from a little bogan from Maitland.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an incredible experience. Like working so hard as well. I think we studied like 40 to 50 hours a week, and then I worked as a waiter for 30 hours a week just to stay on top. But the experiences were incredible, shaping my identity and also the people that I met. I think it's if someone is thinking about putting their child, or if a child is thinking about pursuing a career or that avenue, I fully back that up.
I have a slightly different opinion on that, actually.
Oh yeah.
If you've got something else that you like nearly as much and it makes good money, it's bloody hard
It's
to make
so
money in the
hard,
arts.
yeah.
And we are constantly, 80% of our arguments are about money because it's not flowing regularly. We can't plan. We try to read The Barefoot Investor, all the,
Yeah.
Oh my
We've
gosh.
done it all.
Put your
but
jars
our-
out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Our first
Yeah,
Christmas together,
Yeah.
we had only been together 6 months, and I bought Jens tickets to Moulin Rouge, the musical, and he bought me The Barefoot Investor. I was like, this is not a sign.
Well, you could be the barefoot landscaper.
Yeah. Well, that
The
goes
bareback
back to
landscape.
the...
Yeah.
Oh,
Oops, okay.
what time is that?
But it's like we have no stability in the financial way. So I'm like, if there's something that you can continue doing your arts as a joyful hobby, or you can even do it professionally, but typically it's after hours. A lot of musicals, even like independent musicals, rehearse after hours on weekends. You can have a daytime job. I know a lot of people who studied the performing arts with acting, music theatre, whatever, and then spent years just doing that full time while doing a cafe job or, something else on the side, and now have, turned it slightly to be more like, I've found something else that I really like that brings in money, whether
Yeah.
it's, we've had Pilates instructor, a teacher, and they really enjoy that. There's some financial stability, and then they still do a lot of shows, a lot more shows than some people we know who are just 100% in the arts with their cafe job or whatever on the side. It's
I agree
yeah.
with you. That is because being married to a creative and it's like that feast or famine where it's like it's great when it's all happening, but like that famine of like we don't know, we can't plan, we don't know if we're doing this, we can't say if we can do that, we don't know, and it's just. I always say, like, make sure you have other things that you really look at your face that you really want to do.
My
But
cheeks are getting sucked through.
But you've got your landscaping.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm lucky that it's at the place
Yeah.
where I can do that between creative contracts, and it's such a contrast, the two worlds.
Yes.
So it's a nice escape, but it's also some stability to help things go along, buy
But
more
is-
wigs and get
But
my
is
nails
that
done.
that's not guaranteed jobs either in a sense, is
No.
it? That's like so
Yeah.
it's still kind of waiting for the landscape jobs.
Yeah,
or
because I'm
something.
like, and also if I'm away so much, like Perth 6 weeks, I'm lucky that I have clients who are very understanding,
yeah.
or possibly like the fact that their gardener is a drag
Iva
queen.
Rosebud.
Yeah, Iva Rosebud.
I love
Sometimes
it.
singing in
You're
the
hot
garden.
in demand in Melbourne. Everyone, wants you because he's very efficient and
But
he's
also-
very good. Everyone says, "Oh my god, you're the best gardener I've ever had."
Again, who's paying you?
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly.
But gardening's always in demand, so I guess I'm lucky.
True.
Where,
Yeah, but in the winter it would slow down, wouldn't it? I mean,
then you've got all your
gardening.
pruning and
Okay. Yeah, the
Yeah.
winter pruning. Oh, yeah, okay. Do
Yeah.
you get to create gardens too? Do you get to
Yeah.
go down to Bunnings and pick up all the wood and create new garden
up all the
beds and stuff?
wood.
Get all the wood.
I did
And
a full
fast.
garden renovation in
Good
Princes Hill where I moved like 30 cubic meters of soil by hand because it's like an old terrace home, and
Yeah, right.
repaved everything. That was an exciting job.
Something that is also great is that no matter where we go, you can find gardening work. You've got gardening
That's
clients
true.
in Queensland, and
Yeah.
we've typically done some shows
In
there.
we went to clown school in Paris. I was working as a
Amazing.
gardener there
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
You did lots of gardening work on the weekends for Philippe Gollier, the clown master himself.
Really?
He's like, I need my garden. You can do a little bit of
And
gardening.
then he'd have us in for lunch, and we'd drink wine, and he'd always like take a sip of his glass and then fill it back up.
His champagne glass.
Yeah.
But isn't it nice in situations like that where you can actually have a conversation with someone of that ilk that's not necessarily about the arts. It is about rosebuds. It is about creating something else. It just adds a different dimension to relationships with people.
It does. It really does.
What would you say has been your most magical moment on stage together? Is there one moment that you go, oh, it was this, or...
For me, I've been discovering it doing our Madame Martha's show here in Sydney. When we sing at the end of the show, it's a bit cringe, but we sing a 3-part harmony version of Pink Pony Club by
Oh,
Chapel
yeah.
Roan.
Yep.
But it's got a wink at itself, and it's, kind of ironic, but also then it reaches a part that's really beautiful. And the lyric is, I'll make my mama proud. And we always look at each other. And I'm like, this is so nice because we know how proud our mums are of us, that we just live so, unapologetically in our truth. We're in flow. We love what we do. We show up for our family and our loved ones. We have an amazing community. And then when I sing that, I'm like, this is very special.
That's
So that's
beautiful.
probably my moment.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're lucky that we get to watch each other on stage and see each other in each other's element. And no matter where the show goes, if it's in a beautiful tent in Adelaide Fringe, or when we did a town hall in a rural country town which
Yeah.
had one lighting state the whole time. And we couldn't see anything. I literally fell off the stage. It was hilarious because it was the floodlight.
Yeah.
Those
gosh.
times just doing the thing together, making beautiful memories, meeting extraordinary people is special in itself. So I can't put it down to one, but the journey together.
Yeah.
It must be great.
Yeah, I
It must
love
be
it.
great. Have you faced challenges as a couple that people wouldn't expect? That, yeah.
Well, the biggest challenge is when I'm stealing your makeup and wigs.
We piss each other off a lot about, I really don't like my wigs to be handled in a manhandly kind of way. I'm very delicate about my costumes, my makeup, my wigs, because they're expensive.
Yeah.
Wigs, easily $350, $400 for a styled wig. And then Lachie becomes four boys, gardener,
Yeah.
heavy-handed, throws things around. My costumes, he's like, can I borrow this costume? It's like, if you take care of it, comes back, there's stains all over it. It's been through the mud. It's been through the rain. It's
'cause I'm
been
committed
trampled
to
by
my
a horse. And I'm like,
He's mowing the lawn in
It's
it.
down and dirty.
it is
man.
exactly. It's gone through a tractor. So, that's rough.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that if you ever shared your stuff.
Yeah. So what does a shopping day look like? Did you actually go out on dedicated, like, I've got to get this and I've got to get that?
Yeah, do you head into Mecca together and just like,
Oh yeah,
let's
actually, we
go.
was like, I'm doing an order from Crayola. Do you need anything?
Yeah.
And one of us is usually like, yeah. If one of us needs something, we'll usually just check with the other one. Do you need some makeup as well? Because it's also always cheaper if you order more. Sometimes
True.
you get discounts and stuff.
What else would be our challenges that we've faced? I mean, financially, there's been times, but I guess we're lucky that we have family that we can, who love the arts and support the arts, that where we can call.
Yeah, I'd be like, Mom, we're
I'm
$500
going to Edinburgh
short.
Fringe. I need
Yeah.
$20,000. No, we don't.
No, I wish.
You're good with money. What else has been challenging?
do you give each other like feedback on the performance, or is that just like way too dangerous?
No, we definitely.
Lockie's very forthcoming with his notes.
Okay.
He will be very happy to give his thoughts on performances straight away after. And I'll have to be like, give
Not
me
now.
at
It's
not
least
the
Let me have a
an
drink of
hour.
water first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still sweating from coming off stage. He's like,
Yeah.
I think you should cut that song shorter. Like, it feels like it drags on. And when you walk, it kind of feels like you're taking a gag out of the song. And it'd be better if you just like did it beautifully. I'm like, just pouring my soul on stage. So yeah, working on that.
working on that.
Performance takes different aspects. Obviously, you're out there, but then if you're directing or producing, is that something? Well, obviously, you direct your own things as well. Would you see yourself leaning more into that and stepping away from it, or is the performance very much still part of it?
I mean, I always think that I would love to do more things from the creative engine of shows. Like, I love producing.
You love producing.
I love producing. I've really loved like directorial aspects of Madame Martha's. It's been a equal 3-part creative process. Like, we're very sensitive to each other to make sure that no one is senior in any other way.
Yeah.
Everyone is 100% equal, and I very much respect both of you and us as a trio for maintaining that sensitivity to each other. No one is draconian in their decision making. No one feels like their final call is mine and I'm going to end with that. Let's move on. It's kind of always like, is everyone happy with that? Great. So I don't know. I've been enjoying producing, directing. Music directing is something I love doing as well. I play the piano,
do you?
and I've music directed a few cabarets and shows in the past, which
Right
is
on.
yeah, I like that. What about you?
I guess like being in the nature of independent theatre and the fringe environment, you wear many hats. So I guess we all have that kind of interest. Obviously, Jens is great because he takes more of an interest in the producing and is really good at the admin side of things. And then like, I don't know, yeah.
What about where was I? It was in WA. It was in Perth, and they had the Perth Fringe Festival going on, and I walked around inside that in that precinct where it
Pleasure
all happened
Gardens?
in the gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the performers were out there marketing their own shows. Are you in that too? In that world, having to do that as well?
Definitely. You
It's
have
humbling. It is
Yeah.
to be
Yeah,
rejected
okay.
person
But
after
that's
person.
what's so amazing about Edinburgh Fringe too.
Yeah.
No matter how big the performer is, like famous actors or comedians are on the street, like
Everyone does it.
Papering
Yeah.
their own
Right.
show.
having
Yeah.
their own shows, because I mean that's the only way. There's such a big market over there, and there's just so many people. The only way to do that is
Yeah.
through personable
And it is,
interactions.
Edinburgh Fringe is you have to flyer. It's just an
Yeah.
understood thing. No matter how big your show is, the increase in tickets that you will get from just having visibility on the street, and
Yeah.
people like it when it comes from the performer or the person involved in the show. People hire flyers as well.
Yeah.
But that also shows to the artists who are smaller or up and coming that, you know what, flyering is something that you do and you can be proud of yourself for flyering and not just feel like a complete
And
piece
it's
of
not
crap.
easy too. Like,
No.
especially when you're about to perform and you're like, I'm literally on in 10 minutes, but you're like,
Yeah.
I need to sell 20 more tickets. Okay.
Yeah.
Go, because it's
Let's
that hour
go.
before your show where you can catch some people who are
Right.
looking for something to see, and
Yeah.
you can kind of be like, fabulous drag cabaret show,
Yeah.
jazzy, please come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember we were in Darwin, and we were up there, and that Spiegel tent show that we saw.
Yeah.
And It was fantastic
Oh,
show.
it's so good.
And,
Yeah.
and they were out. The performers were out there papering, as you
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
You know, literally 10 minutes before. We've got seats. We've got seats available.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah.
And it was one of the funnest nights.
Yeah. I think it's the rise of the Fringe Festival, or even just like festivals in general. Like, you see how many have popped up. Every city nearly has a version of Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I don't know the stats on this, but there were a lot less.
Yep.
And I think, you know, it's less common to just have a city-specific show. Shows tour now more because you can access more audiences, and circus and variety has become a lot more popular and kind of big scale and budget.
And
than it
Australia
used to
has
be.
2 of the top 3 in the world. So Edinburgh's the biggest, then Adelaide, then Perth.
Yeah, Fringe Festival sizes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ali wrote this question. Can I ask it?
You may.
Yeah, yeah. What's the weirdest thing you've ever hot glued for a costume?
I love how drag specific that is.
I know.
But you know what?
The weirdest thing.
I have never used a hot glue gun. I know. And I hope that no drag queens are listening to this, because that is blasphemy.
Yeah, right.
I'm not crafty
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
that's okay.
I know. We have a friend who makes costumes for us, and he's like, you need to hot glue that. You need to put the rhinestones on,
Oh
because
my gosh.
if you want to pay for my hourly rate, you know, to rhinestone for you for hours, I'm not going to do
That's
it.
a lot, yeah.
And I've sat down with this corset and rhinestones next to me for hours just staring at it, and I'm like, I don't know where to start. And I'm a bit like, I'm scared I'm going to put it in the wrong place. I have a phobia of ruining things.
Yeah.
Mine was for my very first debut as Iva in the club scene. It was a ballet belt, and because that's when I wanted to do a reveal where I took my dress off and I was wearing it's a ballet belt that I hot glued roses all over, and I hot glued a rosebud to the back of the ballet belt because I wanted to do the full reveal and the
Yep.
arrival of Iva Rosebud, and turn around and put my head through my legs and there was a rosebud. So I guess that's the weirdest thing. I guess.
That's such a visual.
And now it's hanging in a museum.
One day.
One day.
It's the best.
Does your drag persona influence you a lot in real life? Do you feel the blend happening a lot, or are they quite clear two different personas?
We always say that it's a heightened version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess drag naturally kind of is. I like to think there's a little separation between Iva and Lachie, but maybe looking back to me running around naked in the backyard, there's not so much difference.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I feel like I'm a lot more chill and go with the flow and easygoing as a person outside of drag. But then when I'm in drag, I'm usually like kind of serving boss queen energy and like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
decision maker, and kind of.
no, you do that in life as well.
Yeah, true.
What's one thing that drag has taught you about vulnerability, especially in relationship too?
Well, I mean, it's a very different time to do drag now than it was, even 10 years ago. So,
How so?
well,
With the commercialization through RuPaul and
Okay.
just the market being flooded, and it's everyone loves drag. It's cool to have drag queens or
drag is very popular in a way that I think, we stand on the shoulders of many giants who did it in a time when it was unsafe and dangerous, like Oxford Street now, you walk up and down and there's, drag queens galore, and it's the vibe. There always has been. But I think particularly like the safety level is very different now, because it's kind of celebrated as a part of not only LGBT community, but with the rise of, queerness in the world. It's accepted a lot more now. It's not kind of like the other. Now, RuPaul's Drag Race is one of the highest rated, reality shows ever.
Yeah, and has been
it's
for a long time.
mainstream. It's now no longer in the shadows. So I think it's honestly, it would be not right of me to say that it feels hugely vulnerable to do drag, because I actually feel it's a very safe thing to do. I also feel very privileged in that way, that I live in a city in Melbourne and Sydney. It's different when you're in the regions. But yeah, very much stand on the shoulders of giants, I think.
we definitely do. There has been times like in Perth Fringe recently, I would receive some comments on the street.
From 12-year-old boys?
Yeah, or just like people who would say certain things as you're walking down the street, but then you walk into the venue and the same people come to your shows and their minds have been slightly altered, or it's okay because they're in a relaxed environment. They're seeing something entertaining. So I still think, it was a bit challenging with those two contrasts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do think, I don't know, it was challenging, but I thought it was still important because I felt that I was opening some minds or changing some opinions about.
Sure.
I do think also drag queens typically, and drag kings and, drag artists are often mascots for the queer community in a way, because we're always typically on stages performing and speaking, hosting. So the opinions of drag queens do kind of speak often as a representation for the queer community. I think it's important to sometimes advocate for, trans rights and lives and any kind of LGBT movements that are being squashed in also other parts of the world. Like the UK has been having a bit of trouble with, trans voices being squashed.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted because I feel we've grown up in a time when we're very lucky. It's becoming more and more accepted. But
being in Australia.
100%. I grew up in South Africa, it's a different place as well. But when I speak to queer elders, they often say, the fight has to be continued because you can't just relax, because then you see the rise of certain voices that try to bring in, whether it's autocracy and fascism, that's rising in the States or even other parts in Germany. It's not just a given that it's going to remain safe for, marginalized communities. So I think the fight is ongoing. And I do feel like, okay, I need to step up, and that's a part of my responsibility as a drag artist in the queer community.
Yeah, and I was just
Beautifully
thinking
said, by
that.
the way.
Oh, thank you.
Really well said.
There is a level of responsibility. Sometimes I feel like when I'm in drag, it's almost like I'm representing a company where I'm facing something challenging. I'm like, okay, my reaction to this is really important to
Represent as
to
well.
represent. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to say the wrong thing. Like, it's important. The next few steps of this interaction.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that, because also you in the drag community or in any community that is sort of on the edge of creativity is up for judgment, and if you've got, it's really easy for someone to
Who's not in the arena.
who's not in that arena exactly to make cast judgment or dispersion against you, and suddenly that becomes a thing, and it's like, nah, I'm not going to that's not on my watch.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone, especially being in cabaret where the fourth wall is broken so often.
Yeah.
And you see people and they maybe have been accidentally put in the front row and they're not very comfortable with the level of involvement or what they may be seeing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's also part of the understanding that I have to
Sure.
face as well. It's like, that's not for everyone. And if people have different opinions, that's okay.
Yeah.
You go to like your show, like the Bernie Dieter's Club Cabaret, and you can't help but leave and feel that this is completely beautiful. How can I not celebrate all these bodies and voices that are on stage? There's, the songs are so beautiful and they're all about togetherness, and you leave feeling inspired, and like you feel like you want to hate less and love more. So I think that's a good way as well to bring people together.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as you said as well, I mean, it's such a joyous thing to be around, and when I asked you about on the street, I'm hoping that people respond in a positive way, because I know how I feel when I come up in front of people in drag, and it's always such fun, especially when they go, "I see you, Cameron Daddo."
I mean,
It's always so fun.
yeah. We're grown adults in wigs and makeup. You got to have a laugh as well.
Yeah.
A lot of footy clubs, there are the boys on their pie night getting dressed up as girls and doing
Exactly.
can. It's like,
Yeah.
it's great fun.
Yeah,
fun.
it's so true. We do something called the rapid heartbeat. Is that what we call it?
I'm calling it rapid heartbeat.
Let's just...
I just saw that when you wrote it I liked it.
We've been doing this for months.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was, but then I went,
Yeah.
but I always thought that I think that's a really good name. It's called the Rapid Heartbeat.
Yeah.
You two.
We're figuring it as we go along. Don't mind
so
us.
we're just going to ask you both the same questions. So just keep your answers short, and then we'll finish off there.
There you go. I'll go first. Speaking of joy, what brings you joy?
Dressing up and then I don't know. But it's making people laugh. That brings me joy.
There you go.
Being with my family, which includes you.
Yeah. Is there one moment in your life that you'd like to relive again?
Whoa. No, because it's all part of the journey, and if it's not been so positive, it's a learning experience. And as we said before, we both are very fortunate and very grateful for our families and our lives. So, yeah.
I'd love to re-win the Search for a Little Bar Star and get that trophy and that big fudge chocolate basket that I got as a prize.
Where is that?
I love it.
I ate it.
Yeah.
Finish the sentence. What the world needs now is.
Another Pride Festival.
Kind of what I said before, to accept each other for our differences and be able to live with two opposing ideas inside our heads and not combust. I think that was
There you go.
F. Scott Fitzgerald said that.
Yep. Last question. One word to describe each other.
Honest.
Caring.
Oh.
I always say Jens is like a golden retriever because, I mean, he's got long, luscious blonde hair, but he's just like so open and caring and like just a big ball of love.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Oh, this was so joyful. I love talking to the both of you. Thank you so much for your time.
No,
Jens
thank
and
you.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Lovely
Also,
to-
Skank and Iva.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, so good. Can't wait to see you guys.
Can't wait to see you on the street
live.
and we can go,
Yeah.
that's you,
Yeah,
Cameron
Cameron
Dado.
I go, yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's the responsibility of a drag queen.
Yeah.
Joyous.